Listener discretion is advised.
Okay. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents. and real crazy eyes in a bright beanie from Amanda.
Unhinge their jaw and let it all out.
Good Lord.
My face is insane.
You get weirder every fucking week.
Yes.
Tell the listeners who your niece thought you were in a...
Oh my God. Okay, I'll just show you the photo. Today is as we're recording this, not as it's released, is my brother-in-law's birthday.
Happy
And
birthday, David.
Happy birthday, David. And my sister, we all love the show Pen 15. And my sister got David a really great birthday card that's like a hand drawing, not that she did, but like an artist rendering of the gals from Pen 15 that says, "Happy birthday, fool." And it's so cute. And my sister texted me and goes, "I have this card to give to David for his birthday." And Emily said, that's my younger niece, "Who is this? Mommy and Auntie Amanda?" And like, I'm Maya with the bowl cut, apparently.
Which is not your hairstyle now at all.
I think the logic was the other one looks like my mama, my mommy. And Auntie Amanda used to have short hair.
Right.
And like in all of my little school photos, I have
a bowl cut.
One hair away from a bowl cut. It's like real close. That line is very blurred.
Yeah, she quivering.
She quivering. So I was like, that tracks. I'll take it.
Yeah, whatever.
So kids say
are
the
dumb.
darndest that kids are so dumb.
I had the only thing worse than a bowl cut growing up, and that is a homemade mullet.
An actual mullet.
And an eye patch.
Yes.
And an eye patch.
Made more
There's nothing my mom could have done
profound by
about
the
the
eye
eye
patch.
patch, so I don't blame her for the eye patch. Like, she was just trying to be a good parent.
I had
But,
an
like,
eye patch too. I get it. It's
yeah.
a medical thing.
Right.
It's medical.
The mullet.
It's medical. This
It's
patch.
medical.
This patch.
It's medical.
It's medical.
All right. On that
It's
note.
covered by my HSL.
My Sally Jesse Raphael glasses.
Oh, God is
kindergarten.
good. God is good.
God is great.
Oh my God. So, have we done who we are? I'm Kenyon.
No.
I had an eye patch.
Fuck.
I'm Lucy. I also had an eye patch.
I'm Amanda. I didn't. So,
Life is long.
yeah, I got time.
It's early.
These are busted. Who knows?
Who knows
friggin'
when
knows?
you'll go practice some archery or something.
Yeah.
I knows when I'll do that. Never. I'll never do that.
Archery's fun.
It's pretty fun.
I've done it once in Girl Scouts a million years ago before I got kicked out of Girl Scouts for allegedly calling someone else a fucker.
I didn't know that.
either.
First of all, it happened in
I
Connecticut.
wish I had gotten kicked out of Girl Scouts.
I was a baddie.
For calling someone a fucker.
Either a fucker or a motherfucker, but I think it was just fucker.
God.
But in my defense, she was being a fucker.
Yeah.
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 It's like I got a
Except-
green slip in German class for hitting Scott because our German teacher was having us build the Berlin Wall.
Jesus
And I hit him for not
tear it
building it
down.
fast enough.
Oh, no.
No,
What
half
a
the
fucking
class.
weird assignment.
Half
If
the class
anything,
was
that was
building it.
the most German thing you could have done.
Pretty
I think I
much.
said Schnell and hit him.
Oh, my God.
What on earth?
And he probably laughed, and then the
Oh,
German
it was a
teacher-
joke. No, well, it was fourth grade, so he had a bad back. So he went, ah! I remember it like it was yesterday.
Apparently.
And Frau Fairbrother gave me a goddamn green slip.
Oh, she was the worst.
She was not friendly.
No. Girl,
Anyway.
not what she
Proudly.
was dealing with at home, but
Who hurt you, Frau?
yeah. Okay, well, whatever. None of this means anything to anyone.
What podcast even fucking is this?
Frau's a fucker.
Frau is a fucker. Okay.
Oh my God.
We have a very special fan pick this week brought to you by our fan picker, Frau, or maybe Hair, or neither or both. I don't know. Jace Shock. Shocker that I pronounced that right, but only because they sent a name pronunciation guide.
I love a pronunciation guide.
Thank you, Jackie Shock.
It's Jackie.
It's Jackie.
It might be Jackie. It looks like Jace. I don't know.
Jacques Frock.
Frau Shock Shock.
Frau.
Shock Jock.
She's a shock jock DJ.
Frau Jock Shock, the Shock Jock.
Holy shit, we've lost our fucking minds. It's done. We're
We're 5
over.
minutes into this shit.
Holy
I'm so sorry.
shit.
So,
Wow.
Shock Jock has selected the topic of Vineyard Villains, which
y'all.
is exciting, but also a little bit tough because we had to find other cases because we've already done wine crimes as a crossover with, and that's why we drink.
I believe that was our
long time
March
ago.
2018 bonus episode. If you're interested, you can always go in the way back machine.
Yeah.
That was a good app. I like
was a good
that.
app. Spoiler alert, I went astray.
You
this one.
misunderstood the assignment.
Intentionally.
That's fair. That's okay.
We'll get to her.
I did the
Great.
fan pick, and it's dark.
It's been a minute, so I'm ready
know.
for some darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But first, let's get lubricated. I've already been drinking red, whatever. Amanda,
Same.
what's our wine crime pairing for Vineyard Villains?
Well, I wanted to pair something exclusive, exciting, and possibly a crime. And this was a gift to me at Christmas from my beloved partner's father, Tom Hoben, who is a lawyer.
Strawberry table wine.
I wish.
Blomblobin.
He's a lawyer in the Twin Cities area, and he does like real estate law. And so the firm that he works for as a Christmas gift for their employees and their legal team every year gets them like personalized labeled wine, like a case of personalized.
Like they just slapped
labeled
their
wine.
label on some pre-existing wines. Yes.
Amazing.
So dumb. And I think it's so freaking funny. So he saved me one this year. So we are drinking bottled for the private cellar of and selected especially for Tom Hoben Private Reserve.
Nice.
That is a crime.
This is a California cab sauv.
He didn't sell it to you.
Oh, no, he gifted it to me.
Not to be sold individually.
Oh, no. You can't find this anywhere. Except
It's
maybe
exclusive.
for $2 at Trader Joe's.
Nothing to sneer at.
No.
Trader Joe's has some damn good $2 chuck.
I love a good $2 chuck, honestly. But I just thought this pairing, I promised him that I would pair this with an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't listen to this show.
God.
Golly gee. But I wasn't going to pair it with, I don't know,
Something fancy.
sexual assault crimes or some,
Yeah.
super heinous episode.
Well,
Horrible daughter-in-law crimes.
Right. Not yet. Can't be a bad daughter-in-law if you're not a daughter-in-law. There's the trick. Anyway, so I'm
Real
just gonna,
crime.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you the tasting notes of this cab sauv before I opened it because
I think when you take your first sip, you got to give us the tasting notes.
I'll give you a rundown. And in the meantime, I'm popping her open with my other exclusive limited edition Wine and Crime Gals
God, they're so pretty.
iridescent wine key.
I love
are.
them so. I have 3 just
They're
around
gorgeous.
my house.
They're
I love
gorgeous.
them.
Really
Look at
pretty.
that. Look at that shimmer. Look at that
I-
shimmer.
Harnessed my clinical anxiety this week by putting together an emergency kit for our cellar.
Great.
In case.
Like a
in
go
case of-
bag.
Yeah.
For the purge.
Well, more for tornadoes.
And
but
the purge. and
And
Like-
the 2024 election.
My kit would not be great for the purge, but
Fine.
it would be pretty good for tornadoes.
Okay.
But I do need to add a bottle of wine and a wine opener to
You
my
have
kit.
so much wine.
A bottle of wine.
Like,
I have like
put a
flashlights,
bunch of
rain
bottles of wine down
ponchos,
there.
tarps, blankets, candles. I think I need to
Knives.
add knives,
for
some
the
dog
purge,
food.
a hammer, an axe. All right, shall we pop?
Yes, a water purifier. Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
That was a very like bright classic pop.
Yeah. Sounded
All
like
right.
a sound effect, and it wasn't even this time.
We've got notes of wine on the nose.
I'm getting
Ooh,
strong
real-
grape flavor.
She's very deep red, very inky.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me see. Oh yeah, you could. She's a cab. You could tell. Look at those legs. Okay.
Yep. You can see the body from here.
She thick. All right, let's see. Kind of oaky. Let's see. All right, that's good. Jammy, leathery. It's like a very classic California Cabernet. Can't possibly fuck this up.
All
Throw-
right.
Good job,
throw it-
Mr. Hoben.
Throw a steak on the grill, because Hoben's cooked.
It's amazing that he has the time to be a lawyer and a vintner.
And a vintner. Yep.
Yep.
He's really
for just
quite
12
a man.
bottles a year.
Quite a
It's an
man.
amazing effort.
God bless him. To Tom,
To Tom.
who will never know I toasted him because he will
I've
never
met you
hear
once.
this.
All
He's
right.
a lovely man.
I met him at your birthday. He's really fun. I like Mrs. Tom too. I don't remember her first name.
Sue.
Sue.
Tam and Sue.
A lawyer married Sue.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I get
So
it.
sue me.
I mean,
Canyon, I don't get it.
Oh my
okay.
You have the most degrees out of all of us. Okay, take it away.
God. Wait, Bill and Sue actually is kind of
Bill me.
incredible. Bill and Sue.
Listen.
And Bill's brother, Invoice.
Bill, Abel, and Ours. The three boys.
All right, Lucy, what is our background? And maybe psych, because we all need it, for Vineyard Villains.
I'm in
This is
pain
my
all
daughter,
the time.
Liability.
We call her La for short.
Libel.
Libel.
Kind of like the name Libel.
Libel Sue.
I could see somebody in like the mid 19th century being named Libel.
Libel.
Libel Joe.
Prude, Libel Joe, like Smith.
Libel Faye. Okay.
Libel Faye. Why is Faye so solid as a middle name for anything?
I love the middle name Faye.
It works every
It makes
time.
every name so much cuter.
1,000%.
You have to actually do it.
Oh, it's
yeah.
happening.
Oh,
Fucking
yeah.
dibs. Okay.
No one else wants it, so you're good.
I
No
love it.
dibs necessary.
Okay. So a vineyard is a plantation of grape-bearing vines grown mainly for winemaking, but also for raisins, table grapes, which are just like grapes that you eat raw,
Mm-hmm.
and non-alcoholic grape juice, among other things, but we'll get to it.
Concord.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to the Concord. Grapes.
I made out with someone behind a dumpster at the Concord bar in New Jersey at my sister's wedding. There. That's
Wow.
it. That's the story.
Who was it? A groomsman?
No, but his name was Matt, and he is now married and has a lovely child. He listens to the show, so he's probably listening to this now. Hey, Matt.
Matt Cancun?
Hey,
No.
Dumpster Matt.
Hey, dumpster Matt.
He's in your phone as Dumpster Matt.
He's not in my phone as dumpster
Yet.
Changing it now.
Change it.
I'm doing it.
Dumpster Matt.
Contacts.
So grapes belong to the genus Vitis, which gives us the word viticulture, which refers to the science, practice, and study of vineyard and grape production. Grapes are native to the North Temperate Zone, but are now grown all over the world where the climate allows. So not like the Arctic.
Siberia.
Yeah. Grapes grow on a woody vine that can grow naturally up to... Oh, my God. I like how you're blocking his actual information.
Yeah, I'm not a monster.
Dumpster Matt. Put as his business name, made out behind the dumpster.
I know who Dumpster Matt is, but I am going to put a little dumpster as his photo while you're continuing.
I like having a note in the business name, like how I know this person.
I need
I
to
It's
go
easier
through
to
my
search.
contacts.
Yeah.
Finding a cute little dumpster to be his picture.
Okay, a cute little dumpster. Okay. Grapes grow on a woody vine that can grow naturally up to 56 feet long or more. So, like,
Nice.
grapevines,
They're big.
uninhibited, are real big. In more arid regions, the vine forms more like a shrub, like a vertical little shrub bush.
Huh. Okay.
Amazon has a product called Sparkle Grape Dumpsty Desktop Dumpster.
Okay,
Oh, I
well,
like
obviously
that.
you need that.
Yeah, you need that.
Okay, continue. I promise I'm
Back
almost
to
done.
what we're doing.
Back to our job.
Back to life.
Oh my God. I heard a song at like the grocery store and I was like, what is this song? It's so good. I remember it from the 90s and I Shazammed it and it was by Butthole Surfers.
Yes.
And I just shouted, Butthole Surfers in the grocery store. Yeah.
I love it.
They're like aisle 6.
They're a great band.
All suppositories are in aisle 6.
Where the woman screaming butthole.
Surfers.
Excellent band name. Okay. So you can eat the grape leaves, which are often found in like Mediterranean recipes.
Mm-hmm.
They're not my personal favorite thing. I find grape leaves really bitter and
but they're good
they
wrapped
can't
around
chew 'em
cheese
very
and
well.
soaked in oil.
It depends.
I don't love
I've had really good ones, and I've had more often than not. I've had really terrible, like almost like soggy and bitter, like you're saying ones.
Yeah, maybe I've only
Yeah.
had bad grape leaves, but
Yeah.
I don't love them. So before the actual grape grows, the vine produces little clusters of like greenish flowers. So there are grape flowers.
Mm-hmm.
The grape itself is a fruit, specifically a berry, and can range in color from almost black to purple, red, green, and amber. Many varieties of grape have a powdery coating, which is called a bloom.
Ooh.
Oh.
Didn't
Okay.
know that.
I didn't know
All
that
right.
either.
Love a powdery grape.
Love a bloom. Orlando Bloom.
Love a bloom. This is from Encyclopedia Britannica. My lover. The mature fruit of all domesticated grapes will ferment into a kind of wine when crushed, and most grapes can be dried or eaten fresh. However, it is the European wine grape, which is called Vitis vinifera, that is used to produce most standard or higher quality wines.
Cool.
There are at least 5,000 reported varieties of this grape, which differ from one another in such characteristics as color, size, and shape of the berry, juice composition, including flavor, ripening time, and disease resistance. So a lot of these, specifically wine grapes, are bred to resist different diseases depending on, I'm sure, the area that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
They are grown under widely varying climatic conditions, and many different processes are applied in producing wines from them. All of these possible variations contribute to the vast variety of wines available. And as we know from all of Amanda's wine segments, there's
whole
a
bunch.
billion different varietals.
So
There's a
fucking
whole
many.
bunch.
Yep.
Ah!
Okay. There she goes. There she is. That's our girl.
A whole
Bunch. Do you get it?
One more time for those in the back.
A whole bunch.
You're great at puns.
Thank you.
Oh, God. That's cute.
So in contrast to the European wine grape, most North American grapes, such as the Concord dumpster grape,
The Concord.
regular Concord grape, are grown for use as table grapes, grape jelly, grape flavoring, grape juice, and kosher wines.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a little bit about kosher wines from Wikipedia, because I
Don't
wasn't
drink 'em.
sure what that meant. Yeah, they're not.
Unless you keep kosher, you can avoid.
They're not out there for the flavor.
No.
Is what I'm gathering.
No.
So to be considered kosher, Sabbath-observant Jews must supervise and sometimes handle the entire winemaking process from the time the grapes are crushed until the wine is bottled, and any ingredients used, including finings. And finings are different ingredients or elements that they'll add to the wine to either break down different organic compounds or accentuate different flavors.
Okay.
So the finings are, as I understand it, the finings to a wine are like adding salt and pepper at the end of a recipe.
Okay.
It just like kind of refines the aroma, the flavor, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. The little extra shit.
Little extra shit, the little fine tunings.
Makes sense.
So any of that must be supervised by a Sabbath observant Jew, I guess.
Rabbi.
That's what makes it kosher.
Okay.
Wine that is described as kosher for Passover must have been kept free from contact with
Hametz.
Hametz. So examples of that being grain, bread, and dough. So that's like the leavened yeasty shit.
The shit that you can't eat during Passover.
And I didn't realize that Manischewitz was a brand of kosher foods. I thought that was like the overall name for the wine that you drink during Passover.
It's just the most popular.
I think I probably thought that as well until I had to start cooking Passover. And then when you go to the grocery store, you see the
There's a
Manischewitz.
section.
Yeah, like they make everything.
Yeah, they make all sorts of shit.
Yep.
So now you know, Manischewitz is a brand name. It's a proper noun.
But
It's
if
like
somebody,
Kleenex.
yeah, but
Yep.
if somebody's talking about Manischewitz, if they just say Manischewitz, they mean the kosher wine.
Yeah.
Like,
That's why I
like
thought it
Kleenex.
was like. That's why I thought it was like the varietal or like the type
Right.
of wine. So yeah, hope that clears it up for everyone out there. Of the many thousands of domesticated grape varieties, only 3 varieties account for most of the raisins of commerce. 15 to 20 varieties are grown extensively as table grapes, and just a few varieties of grapes are used for canning.
so they
That
all
would
have
make
their
s-
specialties.
Yeah, that makes sense because obviously you have to select very much based on the flavor profile of that grape, what you're going to fucking use it for.
Yeah. The sugar
Yeah.
content.
Because I can't imagine a lot of grapes that are used for winemaking would be even like good to just eat raw or as a raisin.
No.
Like in comparison to what we're used to getting at the grocery store.
Right.
Yep. So from what I've read, my understanding is that the higher the glucose, the sugar content of a grape is, the better it is for winemaking
Yep,
or
'cause it produces
fermenting.
way more alcohol too.
So the wine grape itself has existed for fucking ever. Quote, fossilized grape leaves, stem pieces, and seeds unearthed from Neogene and Paleogene deposits, which is about 2.58 to 66 million years ago.
That's wild.
I really have I know we've talked about this before on the show, but I just have so little understanding of
no scope.
Human,
like
the
when
human
were
existence.
there dinosaurs? Were the dinosaurs dead for 100 million years
Well,
already?
I'm a
at that point?
creationist, so
I
there
have
are no
idea.
dinosaurs.
Right.
There was a
So-
really long time between the dinosaurs and where we are now, where it was just like a wasteland,
Yeah,
Right.
there was nothing.
And
Don't
fish
look up.
trying to grow legs.
right? Good
Get
luck,
over
honey.
it.
I mean, they
Glow
do.
Glow
They
up.
literally did. Okay.
Yeah.
so.
I know.
It took a while, but
Like chickens trying to fly and whatever.
Pathetic. God, you're embarrassing yourself.
anyway, so none of us know. Okay, great.
So
Okay,
like
great.
fucking
great.
millions of years ago in the northern hemisphere indicate the long existence and wide distribution of members of this genus of wine grapes. There is evidence of successful cultivation of wine grapes going back thousands of years. So this is just the purposeful cultivation to like 6,000 BCE. So we've been
Amazing.
making wine for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
it makes sense. We think when we did like there was an episode about beer and talking about like monks hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's like we couldn't drink the water. It's like you had to ferment beverages to make them like safe to consume. It's like you see this accidental science, a chemistry occurs, and then it's like, oh wait, we can preserve liquid over a long period of time that tastes kind of fun and has great side effects. Sign me up.
And not only that, but we're like purposely picking the grapes and growing them very intentionally in certain places to make good wine.
It's pretty fucking cool. I'm a fan.
So Egyptian hieroglyphs dating back to 2400 BCE feature grapes and wine production. Obviously, the ancient Greeks loved their fucking wine.
Yeah.
And they
Like,
nailed it.
gods devoted to it.
Like several.
Yeah.
Noah in the Bible had a vineyard. The Phoenicians carried the grape into France around about 600 BCE. So you're welcome, France.
Yeah.
The
From
Romans,
the Phoenicians.
yes, the Romans planted grapes in the Rhine Valley not later than the 2nd century CE, AD. Our favorite boy, Pliny the Elder, described 91 different varieties of grapes and distinguished 50 kinds of wine and described vine training methods. So
Cool.
in the time of Pliny, like, they had a fucking handle on shit.
They already were able to do a wine segment.
Right.
Oh, extensively.
And cheese.
Yeah.
I've been listening to an audiobook about the history of sheep and how sheep have affected civilizations. And they talk about Pliny the Elder and how he like loved cheese and was like devoted a lot of his book to apparently wine and also different types of cheese.
Pliny
I spend a lot
applies
of
to
time
everything.
worrying about Kenyon. I just want to put that out there.
Don't bother. She's
I
fine.
like what I
Don't
like.
bother.
Don't bother.
Oh my God.
Don't lose sleep over Kenyon's
Don't lose sheep over
current
Kenyon's.
obsession.
Don't lose sheep over it.
Don't count. Just count your sheep. Go to sleep.
Don't count your sheep before they hatch.
Ew. So these grapes also traveled through India to East Asia, and now we cultivate grapes anywhere in the world where the environment allows, like we said. So a word we frequently use when talking about vineyards and grapes they produce, and the grapes they produce in different regions is terroir, which I know we've talked about in various wine segments. So terroir loosely translates from French as a sense of place, the place where you come from, kind of. Right, Kenyon?
Well,
I see your eyes.
Terre means earth. It
Right.
can mean like the earth or it can mean like the soil. So that's what I always associate it with.
Yeah.
It's probably
Or-
a combo
or like
of both.
just,
Like the
like,
soil
place.
where it's from.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
obviously in wine.
you can talk about like your native soil. It means like the place where you're from.
Right.
So it's all kind of intertwined.
And in
Right.
winemaking specifically, the actual like geographical location is extremely important because of like weather patterns and soil makeup and all this
What
shit.
I'm about to get to, my
Exactly.
friend.
So it all makes sense.
The soil, atmosphere, weather, ecosystem, altitude, geomorphology, which is a new word. And so that refers to like mountains, valleys, bodies of water, like how the land like is, like land characteristics. All of that stuff and more of a specific location all contribute to the terroir, and all of these things affect a crop's phenotype, which in turn affects the tastes of that crop, among other aspects of it. Other things besides grapes and wine that we talk about the terroir affecting include, and I thought this was really interesting, cider, coffee, cheese, Kenyon's
Ooh.
favorite, Pliny's favorite, tobacco, chocolate, chili peppers, hops, agave, so like in turn
Tequila,
tequila,
yeah.
mezcal, tomatoes, heritage wheat, maple syrup, hi Canada,
Yep.
tea, whiskey, vodka, rum, and cannabis.
It's really,
I love it.
it really is cool how things that are derived from like things that grow in the ground, that seems obvious to me, but with like cheese, it's so interesting because it's probably about what that dairy producing animal is eating and what kind of water they're drinking. It's just like, it's fucking amazing to me. Like the restaurant, Harriet Brasserie, where I worked for so many years, the owner and head chef of that restaurant like studied agricultural chemistry at the U of M. And that's like what got him into, I mean, he cooked growing up, but like that formed how he makes food, because it's like, where is it grown? Where does it come from? Affects how it tastes. And then how those flavors go together. It's just like so fucking cool. And I will literally never have the
bandwidth.
in a bandwidth or like intelligence capacity to ever fucking pull that off.
Yeah. Well, like,
It's
not
super,
to
that's
sound
why
like
I'm not a sommelier. Like,
Yeah.
ever.
and not to sound like a corny hippie or whatever, but like truly every single aspect, everything that goes into something else that is a part of like everything it consumes, you know?
Right.
So
Circle
even
of life, baby.
We are
Even
what we eat, which is bone chilling.
Taco Bell. I am a chalupa.
oh my God, I had a chalupa for lunch.
Yeah, you
I
did,
have
honey.
zero regrets. I
What
love
was
it
the
so much.
terroir of the tiny cut up tomatoes on that? chalupa? And in the
Flavor.
back of my
Because
car.
they were
Wet.
utterly flavorless. yeah.
They're just little squares of
texture.
dampness.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a
Just a
vessel
little bit
for
of
hot and
moisture.
and fire sauce. Yeah.
So I don't think this counts as terroir, but I do know that different honey, you can buy like honey based on what type of flowers the bees actually got their pollen from.
Yeah, and it's like you can really tell in
Yeah.
the flavor of the honey. It's
I
wild.
mean, maybe on its own that doesn't count as terroir, but the terroir would affect that because what plants can grow where
Yeah,
are
I don't
affected
think
by
you'd
the
refer
terroir of a
to it.
region. Yeah.
I don't know that you'd refer to it as like terroir in terms of like honey,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess terroir is a spectrum.
Yeah.
There's so
Yeah.
much that goes into it, and like we were just saying, every single aspect of everything we consume, or things that we don't even consume on a certain level, are just made up of the things that they come from. So
This is why becoming a sommelier is so fucking hard.
Oh my
Oh
God,
my
there's
God,
so
I
much
can't
knowledge.
They're like doctors because you literally have to be able to taste a wine and determine the terroir, not only the terroir and like the region, but the fucking year.
yeah.
People can know the year because they've just studied the weather patterns of those different regions
yeah, it's
so
like,
thoroughly.
96 was a really wet year, so it's definitely not a
In
96
this area.
In this area,
whatever.
so which is known for this grape. So it would have produced this type of flavor profile for this specific grape, which I can taste and recognize in this wine. Like that blows my fucking mind, and I have no interest in even trying.
No, it's sorcery.
It
is.
A chemistry occurs.
They can just read minds.
1,000%.
Oh, also, okay, I know I've talked about this on the show before, but the documentary about
Sideways.
truffles, the
Oh.
truffle hunters.
Oh God, it's
The
your
documentary,
favorite.
it's so fucking good. And there's a whole scene about they're like sommeliers, but for truffles. It's exactly the same. They're like smelling and looking and like judging like where the truffles were
Yeah,
grown.
they're like,
and,
that came from this dirt in this
Yeah,
place.
and this is the flavor profile, and this is what the like weather was that year and how it affected
And this
the
is the
truffles
name
from
of
that
the
region.
pig.
And
Yeah.
the Nicolas Cage movie
Pig.
Pig, he like eats some of the dirt to like figure out
Yeah.
where the fuck his pig went or whatever.
I know.
That
That
movie is so
is
good. I love it.
I hate that movie.
Well,
But
you would. It was
Loved
amazing.
it.
So-
I like you watch the trailer and you're like, this looks fucking bizarre and stupid. But then you watch the movie and you're like, first of all, you need to shower. He is filthy, start to finish the whole movie.
I
That was my
respect it.
biggest qualm with it.
I mean,
I actually really liked the movie though.
go watch
Okay.
Truffle Hunters.
Okay.
It's so good. So good.
After you watch Pig.
No.
Well, let's wrap this up so I can go watch Truffle Hunters.
So good.
One other thing that I thought was really fascinating, terroir can also affect the wood used in barrel aging.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about whiskeys and brandies and the barrel-aged things, the terroir relates, at least in part, to the wood that is used to age it in.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Okay.
Which imparts the flavor. Oh my God, it's bizarre and so cool. So like myself, wine grapes require seasons. Long, dry, warm to hot summers with cool, wet winters are the best for them. Grapes have adapted to a wide range of soils, ranging from blow sands to clay loams. We've talked about loams before. High interest loams. Predatory loams.
Predatory loans.
Payday loams.
Oh, no. It's so stupid. I love it. Payday loams.
From shallow to very deep soils, from highly calcareous soils and that means containing calcium, to non-calcareous soils, and from very low to high fertility. So grapes are very adaptable.
Non-calcareous and low fertility soil is what I'm learning about my body.
I think I'm high calcareous because I do eat Tums on the reg.
Yeah.
I think I'm low calcareous and don't know about the fertility.
I don't want to know. I'm just going to leave that part uncharted.
So we have talked a lot before about wine appellation, again, in that crossover episode with And That's Why We Drink. But just as a reminder, and especially as it pertains to terroir, wines are supposed to be regulated by certain agencies. So this is a quote from Wikipedia because it really just sums it up. Terroir is the basis of the French wine appellation of d'origine contrôlée. Right?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Your accent is very good in French.
Gracias.
Not as good as mine, but okay.
So this, the acronym is AOC, coincidentally.
Ooh.
So that is their appellation system, which is a model for wine appellation and regulation in France and around the world. The AOC system presumes that the land from which the grapes are grown imparts a unique quality that is specific to that growing site or the plant's habitat. These systems have also developed into protected designation of origin across the European Union so that, for example, winemakers from outside a region like Tuscany cannot produce a Sangiovese wine. Sangiovese and call it a Chianti. So there are rules about labeling something that it certainly is not because the terroir of these specific grape varietals are so unique to specific regions.
That it couldn't be that wine.
That's the joke about champagne. Like if it's outside of the Champagne region, it's just sparkling, blah, blah, blah.
Right, but it literally is.
It's an actual thing.
And so people pay a premium for champagne.
Yep.
And they
to get it from
champagne
that region.
Producers want to protect that.
Right.
Exactly. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about appellation. It has a lot to do with terroir.
Not the mountain range.
No. So while I was Googling around about vineyards, and this is my last segment because it's so fucking weird and random, I found something called vineyard deafness.
Okay.
And it's a phenomenon that originates on Martha's Vineyard, which is a little...
Oh, that's fun. We'll get to it.
Okay.
What?
It's a little island off of, what is it, Connecticut? Or
Nope, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
And I actually talk about this in my segment.
Do you talk about vineyard deafness?
I do.
Oh shit. Can I continue?
Yeah, go ahead. It's a fun fact.
Okay. So, it's a phenomenon that originates on Martha's Vineyard where a disproportionate number of residents suffer from a rare hereditary form of deafness. In the 19th century, about 1 in every 155 residents had this deafness. And just to put that in a little bit of context, today about 2.2 people out of every 1,000 are considered deaf. So there was a lot of deaf people on Martha's Vineyard in the 19th century.
Were they fully deaf, or was it a type of? Okay,
well,
I think
there's probably a spectrum, but they're pretty much fully deaf, and some of it is like I think from what I read, it's like a genetic deafness, and there's so much
hereditary.
so there's intermarriage on the island,
Right.
and then
So,
you're continuing to pass on.
All the townies.
Yep. So I'll actually get to it right now. So this is again from my lover Encyclopedia Britannica. Vineyard deafness appeared as complete deafness at birth with no associated anomalies. So it was like a mysterious total deafness from birth.
Right. But like the ear and the inner ear is all formed in such a way that like they
had
couldn't
no
pinpoint a
associated
reason.
anomalies.
It was just genetic. Okay.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
It was caused by a recessively inherited genetic mutation that was traced to Kent County in England. Immigrants from that region, some of whom came specifically from an area called the Weald, W-E-A-L-D, Weald, settled on Martha's Vineyard in the late 17th century. It is thought that a history of genetic relatedness among some parents combined with intermarriage on the island contributed to the spread of the genetic defect that caused vineyard deafness. Individuals with vineyard deafness used a highly developed sign language, probably based on a language brought from Kent. Sign language was a necessary part of daily life for both the deaf and those who could hear. Many hearing islanders learned sign language in childhood and used it regularly throughout their lives to communicate with deaf individuals because there were so many of them.
That's so great. That's
It's super
amazing.
cool. So there's like a specific sign language to Martha's Vineyard.
That's so
like
cool.
it's not
It's a
aligned
unique-
with ASL. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
entirely unique sign language
It's
that they created.
yeah, that's amazing.
And also, hearing people would sometimes communicate with one another using this sign language.
Well, because it also
It
became
was so
like
pervasive.
code. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knew it. So with no communication barrier, deaf individuals were fully integrated into island life, making livings as fishermen and farmers and participating in social, civic, and religious activities. There was no quote-unquote deaf society, no activities exclusive to the deaf.
They were just fully integrated.
Yep.
That's great.
The number of deaf vineyarders began to decline in the late 19th century when increasing numbers of islanders began to marry individuals who were not from the island and who therefore did not carry the inherited trait. The last individual affected by vineyard deafness who used the island's unique sign language died in 1952. So it's a so-called dead language,
Yeah.
this unique sign language.
Oh.
I mean,
And
I'm
just
sure it can still be learned, but like, yeah,
Right.
it's not. It's just
yeah,
not
they
used
have
anymore.
records of it,
Right.
surely.
Right. It's
but-
just not in use. Yeah. It's a dead language.
Isn't that crazy? It's so fucking
Wow.
cool.
I didn't know
so
that.
bizarre.
And now Martha's Vineyard has become like so hoity-toity fancy.
Oh, we'll
pants.
get to it.
Ooh, okay.
Well, I hope Amanda didn't have this in here because my last thought, because I didn't know who the fuck Martha was.
Oh,
I
I do cover this. God damn it.
Well,
You've
then I
had
won't say
enough time. Senior
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I'll let you say it then.
Amanda will get to it, but I will say that I definitely thought it was Martha Stewart.
I mean,
I
basically, that's spot on.
Until I was like in college, just kind of assumed Martha's Vineyard was like where Martha Stewart lived.
It tracks.
Yeah. I also thought that like the Hamptons, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, they were all one place. It was
You're
just
not that far off. They're all like
They're close
Nantucket
to
and
each
Martha's
other.
Vineyard are very close to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Cape Cod and all
Yep,
that.
they're
Yeah.
all it's all
And,
a
like,
chain of islands
culturally
along the
pretty
East
similar.
Coast. Yeah, they're culturally the fucking same.
So I'll leave my
Jenny
last
Kane.
thought to Amanda, but
Thank
that is
you.
my segment.
Well done.
Blessed be the vineyard.
All right. So my case. Again, it's a fan pick, and the only people more fucked up and dark than us
Are the fans.
are the fans.
Which
are the
makes
fan
sense.
pickers.
Y'all are fucked.
So, I mean, we don't do trigger warnings because it's
A true crime show.
It would be the length of the show, but I just want to say that this case is exceedingly dark. There's domestic violence, there's family annihilation, there's child abuse.
This case has everything.
It really does. It ticks
the
all
gamut.
the boxes.
Great.
I'm gonna put
All
on
right.
more chapstick because I've been nervously biting my lip.
Yep. Okay, so in 1989, 28-year-old Ramon Bajorquez Salcido was living in Sonoma County and working at the Grand Cru winery. He was described by one source as a, quote, hard-drinking and hot-tempered vineyard worker.
Oh.
Those are traits.
Yeah. He mainly drove a forklift and supervised the bottling operations at the winery's warehouse. So he's not like picking grapes. He's like working in the warehouse. It's a very big operation.
Mm-hmm.
And Salcido was often horrifically physically abusive to his wife, 23-year-old Angela Richards Salcido, and their 3 young daughters, 4-year-old Sophia, 3-year-old Carmina, and 1-year-old Teresa. So just a little bit of a background about his relationship with Angela. So she was white, raised in the area by a very Catholic family. They met at like a community dance and like a soccer game, and he like was a classic abuser and like love bombed her when they were dating, and like was very like sweet and sentimental. And then they started dating, and her family like did not approve for both legitimate and also
racist
reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't like him as a person, and they also didn't like the fact that he was from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And Angela helped him become a naturalized U.S. citizen, and like she had like a kind of fledgling modeling career and all this stuff. And then after they got married and had these 3 kids, kind of back to back to back, they had a lot of like money problems, and he, you know, they had money issues, and then they had criminal issues related to having had money issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also became incredibly abusive to the whole family. So then on April 14th of that year, 1989, Ramon spent a long night drinking and using cocaine, and he also probably like sold cocaine a little bit on the side, and also like would steal wine from the vineyard and resell it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's drinking, he's out all night, he's snorting, blow, whatever. He's at the McNeely's Bar and Tavern in El Verano, California. He then returns home to their rental house in the early morning hours. He probably drove drunk and roused his 3 very young daughters from their beds. Again, we've got a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
He put them in the car and drove them still in their pajamas to a quarry near the Sonoma County dump, the Stage Gulch dump.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like some Chris Watts shit.
Yep.
It's very Chris Watts-esque.
Mm-hmm.
If Chris Watts, I mean, the fact that he's like harming his very young daughters is very Chris Watts, but I don't think Chris Watts was like violent before he annihilated his family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like like waking them up and putting them in the car and driving them
in
somewhere.
pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
with their blankets. Ugh.
yeah, yes. So there, he cut their throats.
Oh my God!
With a knife, and threw their bodies into a ditch.
Jesus
Where
Christ.
was the woman, the
mom?
Angela?
It's believed that she was asleep when he took the girls.
No way.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
Ugh.
but we will get to it. Jesus.
Fuck.
Yeah. So she was at home. But yeah, it's believed she was asleep. And like, he's their dad, so they're not gonna like.
They're not going to question it.
Right. He's like, get in the car. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
So Sophia and Teresa died of their injuries of having their throats literally slit.
Mm-hmm. That'll happen.
But miraculously, the middle child, 3-year-old Carmina, did not. She survived.
Wow.
So decades later, she would speak of her recollections of that unimaginably traumatic night. She stated in an interview with ABC's 2020, quote, I remember actually him carrying me out of the house that morning. Probably about 15 minutes into driving, I lean up over the front seat and go, Papa, where are we going?
Oh little
my
baby.
God!
He turned around. He was mad. He turned around and gave me such an evil look, and he's like, shut up and sit down.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
She also recalled that before her father slit her sisters' throats, the air was filled with a, quote, dark energy, and there's no crying. It was silent, like lambs led to a slaughter.
Oh, that just gave
my
me chills.
fucking God.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ugh. And they're so young.
They're so little.
Ugh.
And it's their dad.
Yeah.
They don't know.
No.
Ugh.
It's out of the fucking blue. Like what they're used to, which is traumatic in and of itself, but what they're used to is like a physically abusive home where like the parents are in a fight and dad hurts mom and, you know, they have to like hide from that chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a different ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
This is family annihilation.
But it's
So-
still always been like, go along with what dad says because it's dangerous not to.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So following this horrific attack on his children, Salcido got back in his car and drove to the town of Cotati. I don't know if I'm saying any of this right, where his mother-in-law, Marion Louise Richards, so Angela's mom, lived with her daughters, Angela's much younger sisters. Here, he murdered his mother-in-law, Marion, as well as 12-year-old Ruth and 8-year-old Maria.
Oh my God. So he like
God.
really went on a rampage. It's not just his immediate family.
Oh,
Jesus.
we're not done.
Ugh.
Damn. Okay.
He then drove back to his own home where he shot and killed Angela, who had, like I said, presumably been sleeping when her daughters were
that's
taken.
his wife, right?
Yeah, his wife. And she probably was now awake because it's later in the morning and she's like, where are the girls?
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
the fuck? He probably had blood on him. He just killed
A lot of
5 people, almost 6.
Oh my fucking God.
But then, even after murdering his wife, children, mother-in-law, and 2 sisters-in-law, Ramon Salcido did not stop. He drove to his workplace, the Vineyard, and shot and killed a man named Tracy Tuvey, who was the wine master at Grand Cru and one of his bosses. So he was just like there, you know, in the morning at the beginning of the workday. And then finally, he drove to the Kenwood house of another winery employee, another one of his supervisors, Ken Butte, who he shot but luckily did not kill. So Ken also survived. And he would later be tried for attempted murder of Ken's wife as well, I think because he maybe just like shot multiple times.
Willy-nilly in the house, yeah.
Yeah, but the wife, I don't think was hit. And so those charges didn't stick. But
So he drove to the winery
Yep.
where he just knew he would be able to kill some people he worked with, but then he
Yep.
intentionally drove to this guy's home.
Yes. So I have in my notes, like, I doubt he would have just known this fellow employee's home address off the top of his head.
Right.
It wasn't like they were friends. And so my guess is that he had to look up that info
Ugh.
at the office, probably just after or just before murdering Tracy.
That's fucking creepy.
And
Oh,
that's an
God.
assumption on my part. I didn't read that anywhere.
Yeah,
but
you're speculating, but
yeah.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Somehow this person was targeted. And
Like in my past jobs that weren't with my 2 best friends, I didn't know my coworkers' home addresses.
I don't know your addresses now.
Well,
I know
I have to
yours.
look them up
yeah.
every time.
I know yours, and Amanda's moved like 6 times in 5 years, and I still know
I'm
yours.
never gonna remember that shit. I'm safe.
Amanda's literally been on the run, so
Yeah.
In this context, I'm fine with that.
Right.
yeah. So he then fled and began heading south. I read different reports that he drove his own car or that he took a bus and then walked on foot and then possibly stole a car. I don't know which is true or which is not, but he was heading south.
Yeah.
He
Okay,
made
so-
his way south.
Yeah. So from Sonoma Valley to Mexico. And again, he was originally from Sinaloa, Mexico, that area. And that is the general area where they would find him again.
Is that
So-
in like northern Mexico?
Yeah, it's in like northwestern-ish Mexico.
So
But still-
not hard to get to from California.
Right.
Well, it's a straight shot south, but it's still pretty far. It's like where they found him, it was like a 24-hour drive.
And what year was this?
1989.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, obviously you have to go through the border, but I have to imagine that it was different in the 80s than it is, say, in the current climate.
And
Especially getting into Mexico as
Right.
opposed to getting into the U.S.
Right.
And
Exactly.
he's Mexican. So
Yeah, I believe that even as a naturalized U.S. citizen, he still had his Mexican citizenship.
right, like dual
So-
citizenship, yeah.
So he was able to just walk across, I think. I don't know.
we've
It's
all
the
seen
80s.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
It was real easy to get back and forth from Mexico.
Yeah. So because Ken Beauty survived the shooting, one of his bosses who survived, he was immediately identified to police.
Like, this is the guy who tried
Yeah.
to kill me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. And Ken
Don't
wasn't
get 'em.
aware of what had happened anywhere else that day, but they were able to kind of very quickly put that together. And so Salcido was the only suspect in the whole killing spree from the start. So that
Okay.
really helped the investigation. And the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office launched a massive manhunt almost immediately. So then 36 hours after the killing spree,
Wow.
Carmina was discovered. 3-year-old
The
who had
baby.
She
the-
survived out there that whole time?
by the by the
36
quarry.
hours?
36
God.
hours. Her throat had been slit, and she's
Right.
3, and she's
just
traumatized, and
bleeding
she's
and
alone.
wandering around.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's probably freezing at night.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
poor
April
baby.
in Northern California. It's not warm.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, we were in fucking San Francisco in the summer of 2019, and we had to, like, bundle up at night because it got down to, like, 50 degrees.
So she's barely alive. Some sources say that she was found by a quarry employee. Some say that she was found by a transient. I don't know which is true. I don't know. I'm not a journalist. I just read different news reports and compile them. Either way, she was discovered in an open field about 20 feet from the road. So she had like walked and crawled
Yeah.
some distance from where the crime had taken place
Wow,
to like
good for
seek
her.
help.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
3
So
years
brave.
old.
Yeah.
And it was widely agreed that her survival was utterly miraculous.
Yeah.
The ER doctor who was on duty when she arrived at the hospital later stated, quote, "When she arrived, there was no question that there was something about her character and grit that allowed her to survive. She shouldn't have survived the injuries that she had."
Baby.
It's believed that Carmina had inadvertently kept her head down, which then covered and applied pressure to her neck wound.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the fact that she was doing this kind of
Right.
instinctively
Mm-hmm.
helped stop the bleeding. And then also he had somehow just missed her carotid artery just by sheer fucking luck.
Right, right. Ugh.
So Salcido was arrested soon after the discovery of Carmina, and she also told an ER nurse, she either said, "Papa cut me" or "Daddy cut me."
Oh, poor
It's just
Angel.
horrible. So
God.
he was discovered on April 19th in Guasave, Mexico, which is in the Sinaloa region, and like I said, about 800 miles from Sonoma, or like a 24-hour drive. When questioned by police, he quickly admitted that he had carried out the murders and claimed that he had done so because he suspected that Angela had been having an affair.
I knew
Get
it. I
the
fucking
fuck
knew it.
Oh my God.
I knew it. I
Classic.
knew he was gonna
Classic.
fucking go there. Yeah.
Classic abuser, fucking
Control
paranoia,
bullshit.
control. I don't even think they believe it.
Mm-mm.
They just use it as an excuse and a justification.
Right.
Well,
And I
it's
feel
probably
like
a
there's that-
projection in a lot of cases too.
A projection, and I feel like there's that moment where like you accuse your partner of this, and then your partner reacts in this very like, of course I'm not doing that. Like, what are you, nuts? Like, I would never.
Yeah.
And then that reaction, you know, releases some sort of endorphin,
Yeah.
like serotonin rush, and you're getting a response.
Well, and it controls their behavior because it limits who they can build relationships with, even platonic relationships, because they want to always prove.
Right.
Yeah. I watched a whole Dr. Phil episode about this recently, and the guy who was accusing his wife of having an affair, like just sleeping with multiple men on a daily basis in their home. He like set up cameras.
How exhausting.
Right. Who has the fucking time? If you do,
I have
good
a
on
UTI
you.
and I haven't been having a bunch of sex. Can't imagine.
Who has time on his part to do all this? But the gist was exactly what you said. Like, he gets off on her like defending herself, right? And then it's a fucking cycle. Like, part of him kind of believes that this is happening. It's a total delusion.
Yeah,
but the core of that is he just wants to keep her under his thumb.
Right.
It's a control thing.
And
he
like
gets a rush out of confronting her,
and like watching her, like you said, convince him that no, this isn't actually happening. Like, there's some sort of sick.
It's really
thrill
gross
in that. It's nasty.
Yep. A much more likely reason for his lashing out so violently and for like his physical abuse escalating into murder was the fact that Angela was planning to leave him from all the physical fucking abuse.
Yeah, and that's always the most dangerous time for a victim.
Right. So she'd reportedly told friends that she'd hoped to get an annulment. And remember, she's very, very devout Catholic. She was raised in a devout Catholic home. So, like, getting a divorce is a big deal. It's against her religious beliefs. But she found out that she might be able to get an annulment because she learned that Ramon had been married previously, which he had never fucking told her. And that he likely failed to legalize that divorce. And that marriage might have taken place in Mexico. I don't know. So when she found this out, she was like, oh, snap. Like, I might be able to get an annulment.
I have it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And he probably found out about those plans and fucking killed everyone.
Fuck.
Jesus.
He also later told reporters that he was, quote, not really remorseful for his actions.
Why would he be?
He's a full psychopath.
Oh, a monster. This guy is a fucking monster.
Yeah. And if you look at photos of him, which are on the drive and they'll be on the blog, he's like smiling in one of his prison photos. He's like kind of smirking in one of these courtroom photos.
He's smirking in all of them.
Yeah.
He's a psychopath.
And he just has like dead Robert Durst shark eyes. Like, there's something about those eyes.
There's no acknowledgement. There's no remorse.
Yeah.
It's icky.
So the lead detective on the case, a man named Mike Brown, who had spent 16 years conducting violent crime investigations for the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department, told the press that Salcido's murders were, quote, the most senseless slaughter of human beings to which he had ever been exposed.
Oh, God.
Salcido's trial, because remember, if we count Carmina, who survived, but, I mean, he really tried to kill her.
Yeah, he thought she was dead.
Yeah.
I would assume.
5 of his victims were children, and 6 were women.
Yep.
Oh, God, it's disgusting.
No, 7 were women.
Uh-huh.
And then 2 men. Yeah. Yeah.
Helpless, just like the people, I mean,
Yeah.
no. Your own children.
Salcido's trial began in the fall of 1990. His defense attorney sought to downgrade the charges to manslaughter, contending that he was not entirely responsible for his actions because he was under the influence of alcohol and cocaine.
LOLK, I've been there and I did not slaughter a bunch of people.
Yeah. Also, he was always under the influence of alcohol and cocaine because of his own fucking choices to be under the influence of alcohol and cocaine.
Right.
Which had put him into a state of, quote, psychotic depression. Salcido also took the stand in his own defense, never a good idea, describing how, quote, his marriage was...
Why do lawyers let people do that?
Well, I think they're not allowed to say no. Like,
you can't force them. They can advise.
Really not.
Yeah, you're right.
They can't tell them that they can't force them not to do it.
Always think that they're gonna persuade people to be
Once
on
you
their
can hear
side.
my side of the story.
True. That's true.
And to be fair, like, I see why they think that, because so much of the foundation of their, like, ability to continue moving through the world abusing.
Manipulating the people around them.
Exactly. Is manipulating the people around them, and especially, like, the friends and loved ones of their abuser, so that of their victim, so that no one will fucking believe the victim when they say
They've had a great track record.
Right.
They themselves don't believe they've done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes,
well, like a psychopath, no guilt.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even a factor.
Right. So he took the stand in his own defense, describing how, quote, his marriage was unraveling, he owed money, and he was about to be fired. Probably because they had found out about him stealing the wine. And, like, they were given free wine every month for personal use.
Yeah, you don't even really need to steal it.
No, it was just for money.
Isn't Grand Cru pretty expensive wine?
I don't know, but sure.
I think it is.
Sounds
it is.
So he and
It's
Angela
high-end for sure.
had argued when he was served with child support documents from the previous wife, who she didn't know existed. And he was angry, having learned that his oldest daughter was not his biological child, end quote. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm not going to fucking take his fucking word for it.
Right.
So he claimed that the oldest girl wasn't his, but, like, there's no fucking way, because also the oldest was born, like, 4 or 5 months after he and Angela got married, and she had, like, fought with her family so hard to be able to marry him, and it had worked so hard.
But remember, she was cheating on him.
Right. He's just a fucking douchebag. So on October 30th, 1990, a jury found Ramon Salcido guilty of 6 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of second-degree murder, and 2 counts of attempted murder. He was sentenced to death. We're not going to get into California death penalty stuff, but, like,
back then it was still practice, that there hasn't been an execution in California in
a long time.
In a long time.
You can still be sentenced to death in California.
You can.
I think up until 2019, maybe. I don't know. So as for his one surviving daughter, sadly, this was only the beginning of maybe not an increasingly difficult, but an ongoing difficult childhood. So Carmina, remember, she's 3. She had received an outpouring of sympathy and support from Sonoma County residents and, like, offers to adopt her, but with no surviving relatives to care for her except for, like, Ramon's mother in Mexico, who she had never met.
Right.
Carmina ended up being adopted out of state by an ultra-conservative Catholic family in Missouri. They changed her name from Carmina to Cecilia.
Yep, so they're just trying to erase her culture. That's cool.
Yep. Oh, it gets so much worse. But, like, that's not great, but it gets worse. Believing that she needed a, quote, rebirth after all that had happened to her. Carmina would later describe her childhood with her adoptive family as, like, living in a, quote, 19th century cultural time warp.
Ooh. Kenyon would love that, though.
Not the religious element.
Yeah,
A
perhaps
19th century time warp, though.
Or the corporal punishment. I want to pick and choose. I want to Renfest it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Renfest it.
Yeah.
I'd cherry pick my time warp.
Yeah. Oh, I'd cherry pick what I like from history and what I don't. So her new parents were extremely controlling and abusive in their own ways, and they limited her contact with the outside world. She was, like, incredibly sheltered. If she said something that they disliked, they would put Tabasco sauce on her tongue. Or wash her mouth out with soap.
Like, pick a better hot sauce, first of all.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fucking abuse.
They never spoke to her about her past or, like, let her know
They're fucking
who she
colonizing
was.
this girl's childhood.
Yeah.
They just want to erase it.
But when she was 15, she discovered a box hidden in the house that contained newspaper clippings describing her father's crimes. And she, like,
That's
figured
how she
it out.
fucking found out?
Yes.
Wouldn't she have a scar and, like...
Maybe she did, and they just didn't explain
Yeah, I mean,
it.
she was 3, and your brain, in a response to trauma, can literally like black
Make you
out
forget.
events on
I
its
know.
own.
I don't doubt that she didn't remember it
They
happening.
probably just
but
told her that she had a surgery or some shit. I mean, I'm speculating, but like, it probably wouldn't be that hard to
Make
to
something up.
trick
We
a
lie to
3-year-old
kids all the time.
I do it every day. I do it
Santa
every
gave
day.
you that.
Yeah.
It's my
Oh,
favorite hobby, but in this case,
Yeah.
right.
So she literally found a fucking box with newspaper clippings. Can you even imagine?
That's
also,
fucking
how has this not been a
horrific.
movie?
Yeah.
When she confronted her adoptive parents about this, they told her that they believed that because of who her father was, she had demon blood inside of her. And
That
it was
makes
like
sense.
their mission to like purge her of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
an exorcism.
this
Oh.
is gross. It's like Carrie.
Oh, we'll get to it.
No, they fucking didn't.
After
Oh
her
my God,
discoveries,
this poor girl.
I know.
Oh
After
my
her
God.
discoveries about her past, they even began planning to have a priest conduct an exorcism on her.
Oh.
Carmina later wrote that, quote, "Well, it never came to that." So it didn't actually happen, but like
No, but
they
it was
were
hanging
planning
over her
it.
fucking head
Yes.
for years in her as a kid.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, I hate it so much.
Yep.
Oh, God. Okay, more wine.
Finishing the quote, "Well, it never came to that. The woman who had become my mother began waking me up in the morning by throwing, quote, holy water in my face."
Okay, well, fuck off.
The parents, these fucking Missouri parents are just.
She was handed from one abuser to another.
How do you have
That's
that
what
much
happened.
holy water just lying around?
They probably had, or either it was just fucking plain water.
A
and she's-
blessed tap
I mean, it's plain water, regardless.
that's been blessed.
Or they're like, they go to church all the goddamn time, and the priest was willing to do an exorcism, and so they probably were like, "Hey, can you bless this half gallon?"
Right.
Whatever.
This milk
Yeah.
jug.
Come out to my truck. I have a bunch of plastic
Yeah.
jugs I need
You're
you to
all
bless.
blessed.
God. If you just bless the soda stream
Yep.
canister, does
Then
that mean
everything
that
you make, yeah.
all the water is blessed? Okay.
I
I
think it
think
does.
if you bless, the canister with
The
like
vessel.
the CO2 or whatever,
Right.
then
Bless
it
this
blasts
vessel.
holy bubbles into the water.
I think so too. Maybe that's
Bless
a good
this
workaround.
vest. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. So just like desperate to escape this situation and not having many options, it's not like they're going to pay for her to go to college or
Fuck
like,
no.
She's raised in an abusive home and they think she has demon blood and she like needs to
She's
get the fuck
fucked
out of
up.
there.
Oh, she's fucked up.
So at the age of 17, she joined a convent in Nebraska to get away from her adoptive
I
parents.
mean, I get it. Like, what the fuck are your options?
Right.
It's probably way
just-
better than that
yeah.
house.
You're just
Yeah.
doing anything you possibly can
Yep.
to
So
escape.
So she became a cloistered nun at Sister Miriam of Jesus Crucified. And I did look it up, and it does still exist as a convent, and the logo is on the drive.
Listen, if she found some kind of safety,
Oh, she didn't.
solace,
We're getting
and-
to it.
Okay, well then I guess I'll just.
Oh, she didn't. She didn't.
Great.
I like the flaming sword on their
Mm-hmm.
emblem.
Yeah. So after less than a year, she left the convent, and basically I think she probably turned 18
Mhm.
and realized, like, okay, this stepping stone, I can get away from it, and I'm not under their control anymore, and whatever. So she got out of the convent. She spent a stretch of time at a ranch for, quote, troubled teenage girls in Idaho.
Ooh, that sounds a little shady, but okay.
She's troubled.
Finally, in her mid-20s, Carmina felt compelled to return to Sonoma County and confront her past. She published a memoir titled Not Lost Forever, My Story of Survival,
Oh,
and decided that she felt ready to confront her father, who was still on death row.
right.
Ugh.
Hey, that's how it goes.
Yeah. So she arranged a meeting with him at San Quentin Prison in February of 2006. She later described how, quote, I went there with a very, 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 very positive attitude with high hopes. But he came in like a joker, like a clown. He came smiling in. You know, I thought it would be at least walk up and be serious and just start crying when he saw me. But no emotion. He looked me right in the eye the second he saw me, like he had the right to call me his daughter. Like this was some big, happy reunion. It's not a big, happy reunion. It isn't.
Oh my God. What a fucking demon.
Oh, that's
he's a fucking narcissist.
That's so scary.
He's a psychopath.
He just was like, yay, I get a visitor. It's all about me. I can't be that bad. She came back to see me. She loves me. It's me, 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 me. Like, forgetting the fact that he murdered everyone she loved and tried to kill her too.
He doesn't care.
So Carmina also described how Ramon told her that he had seen pictures of her on MySpace and, quote, had friends outside of prison looking out for her.
No.
Which she interpreted as like intimidation or just like whatever. I think it's probably just a fucking lie.
Right.
Because California state law forbids death row inmates from having access to the internet.
Yeah.
It's possible that he had friends who were doing this of their own accord and like bringing him printouts.
I guess
But it's also more likely that he just fucking said it.
He's just full of shit. Yeah.
He's full of shit.
And I could see someone this fucking narcissistic and disgusting.
Be like, I always have eyes on you.
Not even like in necessarily to him a menacing way, but almost him being like, see, I've never stopped looking out for you. And
I'm the good guy.
I'm the good guy. Like, you know, just this really kind of gross, even though I'm in here, I'm always thinking of you. And I just, none of it's good.
No.
First of all, I doubt he has a lot of friends who still visit him.
I doubt he has a lot of friends.
That theory,
fuck that guy.
doesn't hold up to me.
Bullshit. I think because heard what MySpace was and was like, I'm going to say this.
Mm-hmm. I think that there wasn't even a lot of thought behind it. He's a narcissistic psychopath. He probably just said it, thought nothing of it, like he thinks nothing of anything else.
Yeah.
Nothing holds any weight. He doesn't think anything through.
Right.
Yep.
He just fucking said it. It's nothing.
I agree. So he remains on death row and in San Quentin to this day. Carmina still lives in Sonoma County, at least last I read, and makes frequent visits to the cemetery where the rest of her family is buried.
Where her family is buried. God.
She has stated that, quote, I'm very open with who I am and what my story is and what my history is. I don't know if I will always stay in Sonoma, but I know I'll definitely always have a place here. Mm-hmm. But we know that the cycle of violence and abuse can be very hard to break. And this individual has only ever experienced violence and abuse through her entire life. So she does still struggle to find stability. So last I read, she had a daughter named Sophia Angela.
Oh, baby.
Named after her sister and her mother.
Oh.
Sophia is spelled with a Z and she goes by Zoe. And the child was removed from Carmina's custody in 2013 after child protection officials cited evidence that the girl's safety was in jeopardy due to, like, quote, drug use, poor judgment, and chronic domestic violence. And so Carmina is no longer with the father of the girl. They had, like, shared custody, but then also she was kind of in and out of the foster care system. Mm-hmm. So she does have some limited visitation rights. She is fighting to regain custody, but it's fucking hard. You know?
Yeah.
And all she's experienced is abuse on different levels and from everyone in her life.
Mm-hmm.
That's
really
that's
tough.
That's my case. Thanks,
Fucking
fan picker.
Wow.
Thanks, Jackie.
Or Jace.
Good God.
I know.
It's,
Well, as we say on the show frequently, your mental health is important and mental illness isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no easy conclusion to this. It's all horrible top to bottom.
Yep.
And religion doesn't make child abuse okay.
No. Fuck no.
Fuck no.
Yep.
No.
I'm coping by ordering Taco Bell.
I love it.
Lucy did it today, and it inspired me.
I ordered what's for dinner. I haven't even seen
$25 worth of Taco Bell earlier.
Well, that's like 3 chalupas because it's expensive now.
It's actually 2 chalupas, a Crunchwrap Supreme, a regular hard shell beef taco, a side of potato olays, or not potato olays, what are they called? Fiesta potatoes, and a large pink lemonade.
Oh, I forgot to get hot sauces.
How much of that is left over? Because you eat.
I have 1 chalupa
amounts.
and 1 Crunchwrap Supreme, and the rest of my potatoes in the fridge.
There she is. There's our girl.
There's our girl.
Are you ready for my case?
Maybe.
So as you may have interpreted, I intentionally misunderstood the assignment to broaden my case selection pool. Mostly because the stuff I kept finding was stuff we'd already covered in the end. That's why we drink crossover. And I can only talk so much about cheap wine wearing expensive labels before my ADHD has me going down a TikTok rabbit hole instead of writing. So
we also covered a bunch in that episode.
We really did. So I wanted to.
It was a 2-parter.
It was. Yep. I wanted to explore a different vineyard today. Martha's Vineyard.
Oh, ever heard of it?
And a passable villain therein.
Oh, Martha.
Martha's Vineyard is a quaint, I have been drinking, and wealthy island off the coast of Massachusetts, just south of Cape Cod. It has been a favorite spot for the wealthy elite to vacation, shop, and sail. And if you've ever seen a belt with little cartoon whales all over it, then you know exactly the demographic I am talking about.
Men wearing pastels, women only wearing neutrals.
Right. Yeah.
Quick anecdote about
with a navy or beige stripe.
Yeah.
So what's it called? Vineyard Vines, right?
Uh-huh.
I had never heard of that before.
Yep.
So when I went to Charleston with my mom and my sister a couple years ago, I was going to secretly visit Kenyon on my way home. So I bought this weird little gold puka shell bracelet from this place.
It's cute.
And then I got her the same one because they were on sale.
Because you share a
buy
soul.
one, get one free.
Because I knew she'd like it.
I do.
Because I liked it.
I thought about this bracelet earlier today.
Yes, I know.
We are the same.
So did I. I know. So it came, she put it in this little suede bag that had like Vineyard Vines on it or whatever. I didn't know. For all I knew, it was a boutique. I didn't know.
She didn't know it was a brand.
And I gave it to her and she was like, "You got this at Vineyard Vines?" I was like, "Yes, you bougie bitch. I don't know what that is."
I didn't either.
She laughed. She mocked me for it.
I mean, it's worth mocking you for because you were a literal sailing instructor in Minnetonka. Who didn't. Yeah, but it was popular at our high school.
I see it now, the whale belts and whatever, but we don't have those stores here.
It was
like our sailing school was very Helly Hansen, Abercrombie, very Midwest.
That's
Helly
fair.
Hansen was the status brand at our sailing.
Yeah, it was
establishment.
Not Vineyard Vines.
And I did have a boyfriend buy me a Helly Hansen rain jacket. It's fine.
I had a boyfriend buy me
You guys,
those sunglasses.
You guys.
Okay.
I'm shutting this down.
Fine.
This case takes place. I am shutting this down.
I have so many more anecdotes about Vineyard Vines.
No.
Let's do Vineyard Vine crimes.
This case takes place long before Vineyard Vines was established as a fashion line. So let's go back to November of 1937. 22 years after Helen was born, I will never stop using her as a timeline icon.
She's a cornerstone at this point.
She is. She is my lunar and solar calendar.
She's the birth of Jesus.
She's
Yes.
the farmer's almanac.
Yeah, she's my farmer's almanac.
The
I'm going to
Helen's
start
almanac.
using years B, H, and AH. At about 1:30 a.m., I'm totally doing it. Fucking 1937 AH, 22 AH. At about 1:30 a.m. on a foggy Vineyard Sunday, 28-year-old Manuel Phillips went for a walk on the beach. It may sound odd that he take a walk in the dead of night, but his walk held a specific mission: to pick up scallops during low tide, right after a storm had come through the coast that would have kicked the scallops up to shore. So he really isn't a creep.
Scallops.
Yeah, they're delicious.
Yeah, there's a
He's
purpose.
he's just hungry for that high quality seafood.
Blackened scallops over some linguine. Hi.
A little chimichurri sauce too. Yum.
Fuck me up.
Yeah. So on his walk, he discovered more than a scallop, however. He found the nearly nude body of an adult woman laying in the surf.
Jesus Christ.
Okay,
Keep up.
if
That
you
segue is ridiculous.
real question, if you are a
Cotton
person,
scallops.
if you're a person of color, I'm assuming from the name Manuel, and you're in the middle of the night alone walking on a beach and you find the dead body of a woman,
What do you do?
I mean, you're putting yourself at very great risk reporting it.
I
It depends
wouldn't-
on whether you have an alibi of where you were 5 minutes ago or
I
not.
wouldn't blame any person of color for any reason not wanting to contact the authorities. Ever.
Yeah.
Right.
He did call the police, and by some fucking miracle was not implicated in any
Yeah.
of this. He finds her body. She appeared battered and in shocking disarray. Quote, "When I saw it was a body," Manuel said, "I began running to tell the police. All she had on was a stocking on the left leg and a pink girdle." Sounds like my grandmother.
Yeah.
She had very black hair, but some of it was worn out, probably by the tide and sand, so that only tufts were left. It gave me quite a scare.
Oh my God.
I know, this poor guy.
Jesus.
Both of her arms were above her head, he said, and she was covered with bruises. It was clear her body had been in the water for several days.
Ooh.
Investigators collected her remains and surveyed the area for evidence. The woman was a Jane Doe, appeared to be in her 40s or like late 30s, and must have come from some wealth because she had expensive gold dental work. There wasn't much evidence found on the beach, just a single suede, like blue suede pump heel, hi honey, that matched Jane Doe's foot size.
But she was in the, but like presumably she like washed up or she was on the
Yes.
beach for that long.
She washed up. But if she went in clothed, then some clothing
Maybe
items
one
may have washed
shoe
up
had
as well.
clung until the very
Right.
end.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just, oh yeah, okay, until the end. Okay.
Yep. So medical examiners found evidence of assault with a blunt object, possibly, as well as a bruise and small hole over her right eye, which they also suspected might possibly be a bullet hole. It's the fucking 30s. They're like, I don't know, it could be this.
Yeah.
But it also could have been caused after her death from being tossed around in the rough water. Because remember, there was a storm just like a couple days ago.
yeah. And
Ah.
there's rocks and
there's
who
creatures.
knows? Yeah.
Snacking.
Coral.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it really couldn't be determined. During the autopsy, no water was found in her lungs, suggesting that she was dead before she entered the water. It looked like from the autopsy that the majority of her external injuries were judged to have been caused after her death. So like there's a window where you can still kind of
Bruise
like
a little
bruise
bit.
and
Yeah.
you don't really bleed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The autopsy left police uncertain as to whether her cause of death was murder or suicide or accidental, but the police theory was murder. Without additional leads on her identity, police began to seek input from the public, who pointed to missing socialite Alice McDonald Parsons. Alice was 38 years old and a well-known New York socialite. She had disappeared from the 11-acre estate that she resided in on Long Island with her husband, William Parsons,
Long Island.
who came from wealth and had dreams of being a gentleman farmer, which I guess is like a fancy hobby farm.
Weird.
Wouldn't
I
that
want
be
to be
nice?
a gentleman farmer. I know, right? When Alice disappeared, a note was found on the front seat of her car addressed to William. The note demanded a $25,000 ransom, and the case blew up so much that J. Edgar Hoover himself was compelled to step up and run the investigation.
That old chestnut.
That old chestnut. They
that old ball sack.
Literal ball sack. They'd had a lead in the case in the form of an anonymous phone call that claimed Alice could be found at Robinson's camp at Menemsha, which is a harbor on Martha's Vineyard. A massive police detail arrived to comb the area and found absolutely nothing. They determined this was a false lead, and it wasn't clear to me if they were some of her remains, her as a person, some of her items. I don't know exactly what this phone call, this tip.
It's not like they had a home on Martha's Vineyard. She went missing from Long Island, and then they got a tip that there was some connection to this camp outside of Martha's.
Yeah.
It's on Martha's Vineyard. It's
Martha's
on
Vineyard.
the island. So they're like, this could be her.
Okay.
So they comb the area, they find nothing, and they determine that this is a false lead because, it sounds like the tip alluded to something very specific, whether it's her physical person or something relating to her physical person in this specific spot, and there's nothing there. So they were like, fuck this. Now the story of Alice Parsons is wild, but this woman who washed ashore was not Alice.
Oh,
But
shocking.
I will be
Oh.
flagging that case for another episode because it is bonks, and I want to cover it.
Well, how interesting. Okay.
And another woman who had gone missing in Providence, Rhode Island, was considered a potential match for the body as well, but alas, this was also not the case. One item collected off the body kept intriguing investigators, and all of this happened over the course of 4 days. So it's not like this was dragging on and on.
Got it.
But they had found a wedding ring with the inscription RBS to EHN. February 14th, 1916.
Valentine's Day.
Engrave all your jewelry.
Seriously.
Engrave
Because
Engrave it.
this is literally
You
how
never
they
know when it will be evidence.
Right. This is how they were able to identify her. Otherwise, I don't know if they ever fucking would have.
That's so wild.
Eventually, these initials connected to another missing socialite, Ellen Shackelford, formerly Nicholson. So
Everyone's a
EHN.
socialite.
I know. Well, it was
God.
women in the 30s.
Yeah, any rich woman
Yeah, they're
at
not
the
allowed
time,
to work.
Yeah, their only career path was socialite.
Yep.
That would be awful.
So
Can you
Ellen's
imagine? I'm not suited.
no.
I don't
I'm
know.
social
like
and I don't want
leaving
to
my
do it.
house.
No. The
I'd be a
obligations.
spinster immediately.
Oh, I would be burned at the stake
Like
for being
Recluse.
accused of witchcraft in the 30s.
Straight to spinster.
Infamous recluse.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Yorlarg.
A Kennedy.
Gray gardens.
Gardens. Big Edie right here.
Gray rooted gardens.
So her ex-husband, Randolph B. Shackelford, RBS, arrived in Martha's Vineyard and identified his ex-wife. So he came to the vineyard with Ellen's brother. The police were like, hey, dude, you don't want to look at this body.
Oh.
So, we need you to identify some of her belongings to confirm that it's her, but
this
you
can't be your last memory of your loved one.
Yeah, and
Of
Randolph
even
was
your
like,
ex-wife.
right. But they had a child together. I get it. So he
fair.
was, he
Seeing
was
a
like,
total stranger like that would be
Right.
traumatizing.
And
Let
he was
alone
like,
someone
cool.
you know.
I won't look. And the brother, God bless him, was like, I'll look and make sure it's my sister. But she was such a wreck. And at this point, she had decomposed considerably. And she'd been in the water for God only knows how long. It was
Yeah.
impossible to actually ID her from looking at her.
Oh, God. I can't imagine.
But she was
I
wearing,
can.
she was
and I
wearing
am.
this ring. And the ex-husband was like, that's the ring. She had another ring on that he was like, yes, that's hers. And
That's our wedding date or something.
Yeah, that's our wedding date. And the few clothing items that remained, he was able to identify. So this was her. There's no doubt.
The middle initials really help.
So Ellen was a bit of a baddie, as the TikTok folks would say. The two of them were married in 1916. So I guess it wasn't their wedding date. It was probably like, oh no, it was their wedding date. JK. I got February 14 in 1916 mixed up because I'm drunk. So they were married in 1916, Ellen settling into her new wealth as the wife of a successful Philadelphia businessman.
I could do that. I could definitely settle into my new wealth.
Yes, I could. I am still waiting.
I am ready. I'm available.
My partner is a freelance photographer. So
my partner is
a
an
teacher.
educator.
Yeah.
Yeah, was a teacher.
Yeah.
Mine is a cook.
We're nailing it. Start a podcast, everybody. So the two had a daughter together. The fairy tale ended in 1931 when Randolph and Ellen got divorced, and the socialite went on a bit of a bender.
Get
As
it.
you do.
As you do. Little socialite bender
Get
moment.
yours, Ellen.
That's what I'm saying. She was arrested in Atlantic City for drunk driving, which is a no-no.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. And then again in Philadelphia after she was in a car accident and police found a half pint of whiskey in her handbag.
Okay, Ellen, if you have money, just hire a driver and then you can drink as much as you want, girlfriend.
Well, whether or not
she have
had
money?
money is kind of up for debate. The
they're
husband
divorced.
had money.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we'll get to it. We won't get to like exactly how she lost all of the money, but like they're divorced and she doesn't have access to all
the
of those funds
30s.
anymore. It's the 30s. So the Philadelphia Social Register banished her for being an embarrassment, and she had lost everything, her status, her marriage, and I'm pretty sure Randolph even had custody of their child.
Oh.
So she moved into a hotel in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and spent a couple years escaping it all with cruises to Italy and Russia. But she ran out of cash and owed bills at hotels in both Philly and New York. Her daughter, Suzanne, had been trying to contact her for weeks, and multiple unopened telegraphs were found at the hotel in Philadelphia where she had been staying. She had left the hotel, however, after they had threatened legal action against her for not paying for her stay. So she'd basically been kicked out.
Yeah.
And
You should be able to
squatting.
just stay at hotels for like months and then eventually they'd kick you out.
Right.
But
and
you could have a good run.
Yeah, and investigators are like, you can't have a good run. I mean,
sweet run.
honestly, even now, like, you don't necessarily get charged until you leave. So, like,
Well,
just cancel that credit card on your last day. and see
Well,
what
yeah,
happens.
you can't do that very often. Can't just cancel credit cards
cancel
very
your
often
credit
without
card
repercussions.
on your
I mean, you
last day.
super could. It got stolen. I don't know. Anyway, I do not approve of these charges.
by a different bitch with blue hair. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people have fucking blue hair.
I wasn't
And-
there.
I was not there.
Prove it.
And
Why are you
two
getting
will-
involved, J. Edgar Hoover?
You two will fucking vouch for me. Fuck off, J. Edgar Hoover. You're a dick.
She was with me.
Stop
Thank you.
inserting yourself, J. Edgar Hoover.
We were doing puzzles.
Okay, well, we
Find
were.
your
though.
fucking own.
Stay in your fucking lane.
Stay
So
fucking
now that they
put
knew
it in the
who
burn
she-
book.
put it in the book. Put it in the burn book.
J. Edgar has a whole chapter.
We are definitely putting J. Edgar Hoover in the fucking burn book. Fuck that guy. Anyway, God, I haven't been this drunk since K-pop.
I know.
So this
I've
is
only
fun.
had 2.5 glasses of wine.
You guys, I
I'm
am
lit.
I
exhausted.
busted my dry January, that's for sure.
Exhausted and drunk, and I have Taco Bell all root.
Oh, real?
So
Okay.
now that they knew who she was, investigators began building a timeline of events leading up to her being found on the beach. This case is such a mystery. Like, I just fucking love it. On October 30th, her father was hit by a car, and ended up in the hospital in
And it
Delaware with
flipped
a
5
fractured
times,
hip.
and Tom confronted the burglar.
Oh my
and then
God.
he was in surgery.
Wait.
So yeah, I have been under a lot of stress.
Wait,
Say I've been under a lot of stress.
I'm looking up the exact quote.
And then
I
had
ordered
eye
a T-shirt
surgery.
off.
I
Etsy.
have a journal, but it's upstairs. Erica Jane stress story. Quote.
Zoom.
Here it is. Tom's house was broken into and he confronted the burglar, and then he had to go have eye surgery, and then my son had to go over and help, and then my son, he rolled his car 5 times on the way home. Yeah, I'm under a lot of stress.
I love it on that like beaded necklace. It's like
Guys,
20 layers.
the
deep.
fucking in this house, we believe that Tom's house was broken into.
I'm
and he
looking
confronted
online.
the burglar.
In this house, we believe. I ordered a T-shirt off
Oh my
Etsy that
god!
says it.
Oh, it's a download.
You guys,
$5
you can
download.
Download it and then just have it printed and support your local print shop.
yeah.
Who's my local?
You can have it
shop?
printed here in Minneapolis at Minuteman
Google
Press. Or you can just fucking take it to a FedEx, Kinko's.
I'm just
Hey,
ordering
Corey
it.
Hillman printed it at All Colors LLC.
You could
It's woman
send
owned.
it to her. Okay, so
Clean
on
that up.
October 30th, her father was hit by a car, and he confronted the burglar, and then her son had to go and help, and then her son, he rolled his car 5 times.
Five times.
He was in the father was in the hospital with a fractured hip,
And eye surgery.
and then he had to have eye surgery.
He was in the hospital with eye surgery.
With eye surgery and a fractured hip. Ellen went to visit him there and spent a couple of days leaving without paying the bill for her hotel in Delaware. Big pattern. But her brother claimed that she was, quote, in good spirits when she left.
Drunk.
Drunk, probably. On November, but like, who am
She
I to
was
judge?
loaded.
I love
I don't
her.
know.
I don't condone driving
the
drunk.
club.
But
No.
like Ellen, honey, had demons. She's trying to figure it out.
It's
She's
the
trying to figure
30s.
out her life.
Cars went like 15 miles an hour.
She's a.
That was a joke. We do not condone drunk
They
driving.
ran on corn syrup. Let's be honest.
We
I
all
fucking
know-
wish that would be more economical
we all
than
know
coal.
that Matthew from Downton Abbey died in a car accident and it was like 1918. Okay, so it's fine.
Well, yeah, in the 30s they like didn't have seatbelts, and you were just like in a buggy with a
They
with,
didn't
like,
have
a
like
cloth top.
roofs.
Yeah,
It was like
a
not even a
draped-
windshield.
It was like a draped
It wasn't
sheet.
safe.
It's not great.
It was like a Tommy gun attached to the side. It's
That's the
ridiculous.
horn.
It was
That's the
powered by
horn.
cannon.
It's the horn.
You literally just put gunpowder in the fucking exhaust pipe
Gunpowder
and
and
then shot as
lead.
far as you could straight.
Jesus, take the
They're
wheel.
just Flintstone feet.
You guys. None of this is funny. Okay. On November 1st, a pocketbook seemingly belonging to Ellen, because it had the initials in there.
Yep, and the
Was-
date.
And,
Oh,
well, no, the pocketbook, not the ring.
Okay.
The pocketbook. We fucking monogram everything in the 30s.
When you say
okay?
pocketbook, are you
like
talking
a
about a
purse.
wallet or a full purse?
I think
Because
it's
pocketbook means different things.
It really does, and I don't know in this case.
I'm
Speci-
picturing wallet.
I think it's a wallet, but it also could be, I don't know how involved wallets
Like a
were.
rectangular
Bag
large
with
Like a
wallet.
clutch.
It
Let's
could have
go
been like
with
a
the
clutch. I'd imagine it's like a
We'll
clutch.
split the difference, go with the clutch.
Oh my God, I just burped. Okay. You saw it hit. You saw it hit. Subscribe to our Patreon. The pocketbook contained a letter addressed to a hotel manager in Philly where Ellen had an outstanding bill where she'd been kicked out. The letter was signed by Ellen, and police claimed the letter, quote, hinted at suicide. So it's probably like, hey, hotel, I know you're taking legal action against me and that I owe you a lot of money, but
Good luck.
I'm gonna probably
See you on the other side.
end my shit.
Bye-bye.
So, bye-bye. Good luck. You're not gonna find me.
I'm going to check out permanently.
Yeah. Dunstan checks out. But I don't have a copy of the letter, so I actually can't like specifically verify that. But I have to imagine that's almost verbatim what it said.
I can't think about a chimpanzee in this context.
You can't? A chimp with a pocketbook writing letters to
I mean,
hotels
I
in
can,
Philly?
but I shouldn't because it's really dark
She's
and
checked out.
inappropriate.
But they
Dunstan
couldn't
checks
Oh.
out.
But they couldn't figure out
Permanently.
exactly how the pocketbook made its way on board the steamship. So they find it on this steamship that goes back and forth from Providence, Rhode Island to New York. It's like a commuter ship. And they're like, what the fuck? She's not on the passenger roster
Like a
for the
ferry.
last... Yeah, it's like a ferry.
Yeah.
She's not on the passenger roster for the past, 2 weeks that we're trying to establish this timeline. And nobody on the boat had seen her. Like, no one could confirm that she'd been there.
No chimpanzees
Well,
on this
maybe
ferry.
it was
chimpanzees.
just her pocketbook.
Well, had the pocketbook been stolen by her murderer and left on board?
Oh.
We may never know for sure. We also may never know what happened in the 2 weeks between October 30th, when she was last seen by family, and November 14th, when she was discovered in Martha's vineyard.
Special thanks.
I mean, almost, but we got a little more. Her body was certainly battered by the sea and decomposed, but not to an extent that would suggest that she was in the water for that length of time.
Oh.
So here's what I think, and we will speculate. I think she did ride the ferry, possibly under a pseudonym and like with a headscarf on. Because like, who's fucking in the 30s paying attention to like a woman? Like a white
Literally
woman.
no one.
Literally, you could do the least, and
Right.
it would be a disguise, and you
That's
can
what I'm
change
saying.
your name. Yeah.
Exactly. So like, maybe
Yeah.
she should have just fucking left her pocketbook there as a hint. And
Or
then,
on accident.
or by accident, and went on with her life. I don't know.
Well, okay. Question though, what you just said. So she was decomposed, but they thought that it wasn't decomposed in the water for that long.
Incorrect. Yes, for that long. They don't think she was in the water for 2 weeks. But they know
So
she
are
was.
they thinking that she partially decomposed on dry land and then was in the water?
No, she's decomposed for X amount of days in the water, but not 2
or maybe
weeks
she
worth
just
of days.
hadn't been dead since
Correct.
the 30th. She had
Correct.
died more recently
So
to
they
November
can't-
14th.
Exactly. They can't pinpoint like the day of death because A, it's the 30s, so forensics are like,
And if she's like on the run because her name and whatever reputation, she's not paying her bills, then it'd be hard to know her exact date of death. It wouldn't be her last date seen.
exactly.
Got it. Okay.
So like they know that she died and then was in the water for probably between 3 and 5 days, but she was not in the water for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Because she
Got it.
was at least in the water long enough to have been in that storm, which was which the storm hit on Friday, and Manuel found her on Sunday morning. So she was so like
okay.
she went into the water likely before the storm, but was probably in the water for at least 3 days.
Got it.
So I don't
Gotcha.
know. So within a month, Boston medical examiner Dr. Timothy Leary concluded his secondary investigation of the
Timothy
remains.
Leary,
Timothy Leary.
the LSD guy.
Different guy.
Well, different guy, but there was a note that I didn't include because I didn't care that said he was directly related to like so-and-so of that famous name. So maybe is that famous guy the
Like-
LSD guy?
14%
Timothy
of all
Leary.
Irishmen and American Irish men are named Timothy Leary. So
Oh,
it's fine.
That's fair. But that is the LSD guy's name.
But so Ellen, that's her name, was found. They did an autopsy. They removed a bunch of her organs so that they could continue to study her cause of death, but allow the family to take like her corpse, like her vessel, to cremate and bury.
The
So
pillowcase.
Yeah. So she'd already her empty case had been handed back over to the
I just
family.
did my laundry. I'm sorry. I just
It's
finished
true
folding
though.
my
It's
laundry.
true. She's like a body pillow, but empty.
The case.
Yes. So the
Canyon's
medical
really
examiner in
gross.
Boston took her organs. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he
The pillow.
concluded, she thumbed it to Boston, the corpse. And he concluded in his secondary investigation of the remains that there was salt in her heart's blood, quote-ish,
Okay.
which indicates drowning despite water not being present in the lungs. So I don't fucking know. It's the 30s. Who fucking knows?
That
60s.
doesn't. I've never heard that before.
Neither have I. It sounds like there's
Sounds
ghosts
like-
in your blood. Do cocaine about it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
weird. It's not right. But he declared the cause of death as, quote, asphyxia due to probable drowning with nothing to indicate homicide. And the case was closed as an accidental death / possible suicide, though neither her brother nor her ex-husband had any idea why she would take her own life.
I feel
No.
like a lot of dudes in the 30s probably weren't prepared to be like, we don't know.
Yeah.
We can't
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah.
They had to like make a call.
And obviously the feelings and
Absolutely.
reactions of grieving loved ones are far from evidence. So even like the ex-husband and the brother being like, I just saw her. She seemed
was
fine.
Yeah, we don't
How
know.
often do we fucking hear that? You know, in cases of suicide, which is super fucking sad. The truth is also that a lot of attempted and completed suicides are as a result of mounting debts and feeling like you've completely lost control of your life. Like that's pretty like Family Annihilators. This happens.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a thing.
It's possible. I'm not saying one way or the other, homicide or suicide or accident. I just wish that like the coroner had said undetermined.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
left it open.
They just wanted to fucking close it up.
Right.
And this poor woman she was estranged from her husband and her child. She's bouncing from hotel to hotel without being able to afford it. Yeah. I think she's just trying to figure out how to fucking silence the chaos of her life, and it all got a little bit out of hand. So
it also sounds like she had a drinking problem, so an
Yes.
accident might be more likely, especially if she's like on a fucking boat.
Yeah, under a different name, if that's what she did. I that's kind of what I think happened. I don't think she fell off of the boat, that boat that her pocketbook was found on, but maybe she fucking did. But like, I don't know.
It's possible that she got in, you know, a risky situation with somebody else too. Any of these things are
she's partying, she's having a good
plausible.
time. They're like, let me take you out on my sailboat.
Let me take you in my submarine. I built it myself.
Accident, homicide,
Natalie
suicide,
Mhm.
or like it. I mean,
It's pretty evenly split in terms of possibilities.
I really don't know. The only thing that's making me what's annoying is that, I mean, annoying, but also like I totally respect it. The transcript of whatever was in that letter to the Philadelphia hotel that quote hints at suicide is not released. It's not available. Like I scoured newspapers.com.
Right.
It's not out there. So
maybe
I don't
that
fucking
maybe
trust-
that would be a slam dunk for
Maybe it would
suicide.
be.
I don't know.
But I also don't like trust the cops. Certainly
No.
not like 1930s cops. So I don't fucking know. I don't know. And you know how much I hate an unsolved case, but it just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my case, but I wanted to leave us with some fun facts about Martha's Vineyard, since this is Vineyard Villains after all.
We bookended with fun facts about Martha's Vineyard, like every other true crime podcast.
Yes, because we are a true crime podcast. There is no definitive source for the name Martha's Vineyard, but it is thought to be named for the mother-in-law or daughter, both named Martha, of the English explorer Bartholomew Gosnold, who led the first recorded European expedition to Cape Cod in 1602.
we
They're
copied and
also-
pasted from the same
Wikipedia
source.
article.
Yes, obviously.
There also isn't a single vineyard on the island, but some reports indicate there were wild grapes growing on the island when it was first settled, thus Martha's Vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
Martha's Vineyard has a historically large deaf community.
What? I bet it's genetic.
Weird. Is it like 1 out of every 155
55
residents
people,
as of
yeah.
the 19th century, roughly?
Ba 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 ba. Gonna
Do
just
they make their own sign language?
yeah. Exactly. Martha's Vineyard was also Soup's Deaf, a location where enslaved Africans were transported and sold to the U.S. colonies. So that's super not great.
Not great.
But it was also a stop on the Underground Railroad, so maybe they tried to have a little redemption round later. I don't know. Specifically, Edgartown Harbor was a stop on the Underground Railroad.
One of my ancestors owned a tavern. I forget where, maybe like Rhode Island, somewhere in the Northeast,
Can
whatever.
you do my genealogy
Yes.
soon?
You got to give me some things to go off of, and then I'll totally do it.
Give me your spit.
No, I don't need that. I need like 4
need
names
it.
and birthdays, and I'm good to go. But
I need your
got it.
spit.
But anyway,
I need
he-
I
need
spit.
your spit. He owned a
need
tavern,
lot
and
of
they
your
believe
spit.
that it was a stop on the Underground Railroad.
That's super cool. Send me your spit. After being settled. After being settled, Martha's Vineyard was actually purchased by one wealthy fuck in 1641.
Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart. In 1641,
Snoop
Martha Stewart
Dogg.
bought it.
E-dog.
Then sold
make a
again in
waffle.
1642 and was considered part of New York until 1692.
You don't say.
Wow.
Yeah. And this one is for Kenyan. Woo! There isn't a single Starbucks on the island. You have to take a ferry or a plane to the mainland to
I couldn't.
access such luxuries.
I couldn't survive. I need my mediocre, consistent, burnt coffee.
You need, hold on, let's see if I can remember your order. You like a hot mocha, no whip, 2 pumps,
Mm-hmm.
Oat milk.
oat milk.
Oh, oat
Okay.
milk.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was close.
You were real. That's really good.
That is pretty
You're
good.
a matcha latte gal.
I
Yeah,
am.
Amanda gets the matcha latte.
And I'll take any milk, but my favorite is coconut. But Lucy, there's also no McDonald's on Martha's Vineyard.
Fuck.
I know. I wonder if they have a Taco Bell. I'm Googling it.
No, I need my
Taco
morning Coke.
Bell, Martha's Vineyard.
I get the shakes.
I did recently try a
Without the actual
pistachio
shakes.
latte at Starbucks, and while it was $7, it was good.
Is there a Taco Bell on Martha's Vineyard?
There technically is a Taco Bell on Martha's Vineyard.
We'll do a show there.
It's in
my
Oak
God.
Bluffs.
Is it attached to a Pizza Hut?
How big is Martha's Vineyard?
It's like 100 or 99 square miles or something. It's pretty
my
big.
God,
It's like the
that's-
biggest
it's
island.
That big?
Yeah.
No.
Wait, hold on. That's not a Taco Bell.
Martha's
Oh, it's pretty big.
Vineyard.
Bitch, I fucking researched
Size.
Martha's Vineyard.
It's 87.48 square miles.
I was real close.
Oh, it is pretty close to Providence. I have a lot of ancestors from.
Okay, there's not a Taco
Rhode
Bell
Island.
on Martha's Vineyard, but there are some
I'm
taco
not going.
spots on Martha's Vineyard.
Little Compton. What up?
God bless.
Anyway, that's our
my
show this
case.
week.
Okay, bye.
Y'all, I fucking nailed it.
You did.
I liked it.
Vineyard
It's
Villains,
a mystery.
I'm sorry I gave away all the deafness.
That's
but
okay.
It was very
super
interesting.
cool. It's really fucking cool. I'm glad you covered it. I didn't think you'd touch Martha's Vineyard, so I was a little mad. And then
Well-
I immediately forgot and didn't care anymore.
As we've said several times, we covered a lot of wine-related shit in our March 2018 bonus episode crossover
Yeah.
with And That's Why We Drink. So check it out. Check them out.
We love them.
They're
so
Thank you
much.
for
amazing.
listening.
We love Em and Christine, and we also love our fan picker, Jace or
Jackie.
Jackie.
Jake.
Shock. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jockey.
Shock.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.